to? Is he referring to limitless consciousness, I am there for you? No, it makes no sense there. Is referring to us as ordinary human beings. So yes,
No,
in a very dualistic sense.
but he said, don't worry, be happy, I am not leaving you, because I am always the same. As a body, when I was in body, I am not, Jivan Mukta, Vidya Mukta is the same. There is no difference, only the body is not here, present.
Yes.
But, in consciousness, there is no difference.
In consciousness, no difference.
And it's same for you, for him, for us, for
Yes,
everybody.
absolutely. Once if you take that position and you center yourself there in that position, you need not talk about Ramakrishna, death, Brahmananda. What is the point? But until that, from this perspective, in the perspective where we are studying Vedanta, where I clearly, I am this guy, I read and study and practice Vedanta, I need to go and have dinner and I need to follow the time. It's all within the realm of relative truth. And there definitely God, Avatar, they have all their importance. And there the relevance of after death I am not gone, do not worry, I will be there for you. That makes sense. Yes. Don't get confused. This is what we talked about in the morning and in the afternoon. This is what might be called the view from the Everest, from the highest perspective. But that does not invalidate the view from the valley, view from the base camp. All those are also true. And we also must know from which perspective am I saying I had dinner and we are sitting here together, we are talking to each other. In which perspective? Are we talking from the perspective of I am Brahman? Not at all. We're talking from the perspective of I am this guy, I am this person. So that perspective is also valid. And it's a transactional truth. Nearly 2000 years ago, the great Buddhist master Nagarjuna, in his book Moola Madhyamaka Karika, which is a central text of the emptiness school, he said that the Buddha taught two truths. The Buddha taught two truths. Satyam paramartikam cha, satyam samrittim cha. What in Vedanta we call the absolute truth and the transactional truth. The terms we use in Vedanta are paramarthika, absolute, vyavaharika, transactional, relative. In Buddhism they use similar terms, paramarthika, absolute, and instead of vyavaharika the term they use is samritti satyam, which is relative truth. And then Nagarjuna goes on to say, he's not a Vedantist, he's an Shunyavadi, emptiness school, master of the emptiness school. He goes on to say, Samvrittim manashritya paramartham nadhigamyate. Without taking refuge in the relative truth, no one comes to the absolute truth. So we first take refuge in, for him the refuge in relative truth is Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. That's relative. All that is relative. That's not ultimately true for him. But unless you take refuge in that, you will not come to the ultimate truth of enlightenment and nirvana, like that. Who had the microphone? Yes.
My name is Ravi. My question is, as to this gentleman's question, you had suggested that at the last step, after you come to a certain level of realization, at the last step you have to drop the mind. So until that point, we came with an analytical approach to a of experience. What is the reality? And at the end, we have to either have faith or that analysis doesn't work and we have to drop the mind. That's where I have a problem. In the sense that I don't know how to do that question, but it sort of is that question. And the second part of this question is, if that is not possible for me to do, if there is a person who is who understood the teaching not viscerally but just intellectually, understood the model and the hypothesis here, and can bring it to practice, that I am Brahman, and goes about living his life with that idea, but not knowing it literally in the bone and living it in the experience, would the results or would the way he would go about living would be different?
The last part I did not understand.
What is the difference between really knowing that I am Brahman viscerally and having that realization versus just accepting it on face value and going about living my life accepting it on face value that I am Brahman.
Okay. The first part of it, using the intellect, the mind to do this kind of analysis, if we do that carefully, then that teaching about dropping the mind will make sense. If we have done the analysis carefully, using the mind, all the analysis is done using the mind, the intellect. It's using that, it will show me clearly, using the mind only, it will show me clearly that I am not the mind. Then the teaching about let go of the mind. What do you mean by let go of the mind? Does it mean silencing the mind? Does it mean, tossing the mind into the recycle bin? Not at all. The mind can be there, mind can be active, mind can be thinking or inactive. In either case, the clarity will be I am not the mind. That clarity will be there. When the movie is playing, if I clearly understand the distinction between the movie and the screen, even while the movie is playing, then I need not switch off the movie also. While the movie is playing, I can say, let go of the movie, focus on the screen. While the movie is playing, I can still do that. Quite honestly, I understand. It's like looking at the wave and the water, and you say, distinguish between water and the wave while looking at it. And then say, let go of the wave, focus on the water. Say, I can do that. I don't mean that I have to let go of, I don't have to make the wave subside. So, to be able to truly do that, one must follow the analysis seriously. How do you follow the analysis seriously? One is, of course, listen. Second is understand thoroughly, so that you can answer all questions yourself. Whatever question is raised today or in some ancient book, you know the answer, because you have understood it clearly what's going on there. But more than that, to do it, as you said, viscerally, good word, viscerally, with our whole being. With our whole being. What did you say your name was? Ravi. You are Ravi with your whole being. Ravi is not just a little bit of information you have. You are Ravi. Your identification is so strong. Although it's a name that has been given to you, but still, identification is so strong and effortless. Like that, or even more strongly, when you can say, I am awareness, obviously, so strongly. Maharaj, we are talking about Ashwini Maharaj. He told me a story. He had gone to a great master in Kailash Ashram in Rishikesh. And he was asking that great teacher, Swami, when can I say that I am enlightened in an Advaitic sense? And that Swami told him that right now, if you say, I am a man, isn't it a fact for you, very obvious fact? He said, yes. When you can claim, I am Brahman with that confidence, it's obvious for you, effortless for you. It doesn't require any argument, any logic, any effort, any practice. It's just a fact. Like you say, I am Ravi, like that. Now, how to make it like that? That's why I said, keep it real at every step. Don't let it slip away into words and theory. I like an example, I've been using it recently. Somebody told me that, how Vedanta should be practiced, how to keep it visceral. So when you ask a child, what is a nose? The child will not say nose is the organ of respiration, nose is the olfactory organ. That is trading many words for one word. That is dictionary meaning, trading words for words. What will the child do? Nose. What is the nose? This one. Vedanta must be practiced like this. When you say body, instead of thinking, body, it's a biological machine. No, body. Here is a body. Prana. When I say, I am not the body, body is an object. Yes, body is an object. I see the body. I touch the body. I can smell or taste, even hear the body. It's an object. Yes, absolutely clear. When the prana is an object, this is a prana. It's a manifestation of the prana, but it's an object. Yes, I can experience it. Like that, it must be like nose, directly catch hold of the reality. Then make it even more. That's why these step-by-step processes are given. It starts with the most exterior and obvious, body. Then it makes it subtler and more inward, breath. Subtler and more inward, mind. Subtler and more inward. I'm using the English translation for the Upanishadic. Anyo antaratma. Intellect. Then utter blankness. Is subtler and subtler. At each level it must be as clear as nose. Then when we come to the realization, oh, I am this, it will also be very clear. The reason we don't know that, two reasons I said. One is ignorance. We have never been introduced to it. But also, our fascination with the world, our fascination with our own thoughts, and nowadays fascination with the device in our pocket. And Upanishad says, Paranchikhani vyatrinat swayambhu tasmat parang pashyati nantaratman. Kathopanishad says, our senses are a kind of manufacturing defect. They flow outwards. Not a defect, that's how they have been designed. They flow outwards. So our attention is continuously directed outwards. See, here, smell, taste, touch. Oh, wow, how wonderful. I am perpetually flowing outwards. Therefore, I do not see the inner self. That is consciousness. I don't notice it. Open secret, but secret. Because of our fascination. Once, in a conference, I said this. We are fascinated by the world. Outside, we look outside, therefore we do not see our own inner self. The next speaker after me, I still remember, was this lady. She was a retired diplomat. And she got up and said, I wish what the Swami said were true, but it's no longer true. If we were fascinated by the world outside, that would be wonderful to see the world outside. But now we don't even see that. We are always fascinated with this. So that's the second reason. Even after being introduced to it, as in a Vedanta class, even we dwell in it, the second reason, fascination with the not self, with the world, with this, or with our thoughts, that will also keep on hiding. Meister Eckhart, we were reading that, what interesting words. The least fascination with anything in the world, least, is enough to obscure the whole of God. Little bit of cloud can obscure the sun, which is larger than the earth, far larger, from our perspective. So, this is what happens. That's why we must come back to it again. First of all, viscerally, then catch it. Having caught it, come back to it again. Stay with it again and again and again. That's called nididhyasana. In the Panchadashi, it is there. What is the practice in Vedanta? It's very interesting. In Vedanta, many people we study and then come to this conclusion after some time. All that's fine. Now what do I do? What do I do now? And Vedanta doesn't seem to have an answer. If you really ask a traditional teacher of Vedanta, what do I do now? They will say, you haven't heard me. Here again. That question should not come, what do I do now? I am pure consciousness. I am Brahman. Will Brahman ever ask, what do I do now? Okay, I am Brahman. What do I do now? No. But that's not a satisfactory answer for most of us. So we need something to do. So in Vedanta, the practice is, if you really insist, tat kathanam, tat chintanam, parasparam, tat prabodhanam, etad ekaparatvam hi brahmabhyasam vidur buddha. Thinking about it, speaking about it, teaching it, explaining it to each other. This constant focus on Brahman, on that one reality, which we are, constant application to it, this is called the practice of Advaita. You say, this, again have to listen to YouTube. So then we are not satisfied with this, then there are other, you want other techniques? There's a whole vast arsenal of techniques. What? How many techniques will you do? I'll give you techniques. So in, for example, Kashmiri Shaivism, they have a nice classification. Fourfold approach. About technique. Fourfold approach. About path. Anupay, Shambhavopay, Shaktopay, Anuvopay. First one, highest. What is that highest path? Direct path. What is that? No path. Anupay, no way away. It's not a way. What do you need? I want to be enlightened. Okay, be enlightened. I said, how? If you want to ask how, all right, then there are techniques. But there are people who don't need to ask how. They just become enlightened. Ramana Maharshi. Nowadays you have this teacher, Eckhart Tolle. If you read his life story, sort of spontaneous awakening. There are a few. But you can't. So Kashmiri Shaivism says it is possible. Some cases might be there. Rare cases. So let me wait for that. No, that's not honest. For nothing in the world I'm ready to wait. Whenever I want something, I'm up and doing. When I say, oh, God realization, enlightenment, all right, no path. I'm not going to do anything. Let it happen. That means I don't want it. I don't want it. So then comes the next one step lower. There is a path. It's called the way of Shiva, Shambhava Upaya. If you see what it is, it's basically Advaita, what we did today. Advaita Vedanta, directly pointing out that you are that pure consciousness. You listen to the truth, try to recognize it, and see that you are it. That's it. Stay with it. At most, practice will be a course of non-dual meditation, which enables us to stay with it. Immerse yourself. Listen, clarify, stay. Stop. Stay there. And like when you cook, you marinate. You don't immediately take it off. You marinate it so that it soaks in the spices. So once you have got clarity, I've got it, marinate. Sink in. Let it sink in. Let your life, your mind be perfumed with that truth. So that is non-dual meditation. Doesn't work? Then come to the next one step below. Each level is wider and more complicated. Shakta Upaya. All sorts of meditation techniques are introduced at that level. Mantra is introduced. It's the way of Shakti, the way of the Divine Mother. The practice of language is introduced. That language which traps us in samsara. There's a divine language which frees us from samsara. Mantra, meditation, samadhi, all of these are introduced. Shakta Upaya. Not working? Then one more step. Anava Upaya. Anu means atom, means us, jivas, individual beings. Then everything is introduced there, from ritual to images to visualization to pujas, everything, hymns, devotion, everything is introduced there. Very complicated and big. The more complicated our problems, more complicated the solution. Now you start and go on. So you have Kashmiri Shaivism as a wealth of techniques. If you want technique, any technique. Vijnana Bhairava, 112 techniques are there. And that famous Soham meditation is one of those 112. Any one of them enough to take you to enlightenment. Advaita Vedanta is there, up there. Truth has been pointed out, stay with it. But the important word there is visceral. Now you asked one more question. If I accept it at face value and try to live life accordingly, great practice. Swami Vivekananda gave stress on that. You believe it, take it on faith that I am Brahman and try to live like that. Very difficult practice. Immediately, everything in the world will prove you that you are not Brahman. And Vivekananda says, you be knocked down 1,000 times, get up 1,001 more time. This is actually a shortcut path. Only it is a difficult path. It requires struggle, because every moment our own minds will keep dragging us down to that level. To say that I am not the mind, I am not the mind, I am the awareness in which you, my mind, are appearing. To say that and to day to deal with it. Ashtavakra also says, Shraddhasva tata shraddhasva matra moham kurushva bho. That I am Bhagavan Atma Aham. Have faith, my child, have faith. Suppose all these techniques are not working. All this I don't get it. But I like the idea I am Brahman. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. I like the idea. I accept it. I believe it also somewhere. In that case, Ashtavakra says, let's try another path. Just believe it. Like devotees believe in the existence of God. Like the public believes advertisements which are put out there. We have a power of belief. We use it for a lot of nonsense. The entire multi-billion-dollar advertising industry is hooking us with our power of belief. Why don't you use it for something very useful and precious, for enlightenment? Just believe it, that I am pure, limitless awareness. Do not be deluded on this point. It will work. As you believe, so you will be. If you believe you are free, you will be free. If you believe you are bound, you will be bound. This old adage, this old proverb is true. As one's mind is, as one's faith is, so is one's life. That will also work. So 3 things we have got. Do that analysis clearly, you will know, you will understand clearly what is meant by dropping the mind. 1. Second, viscerally, knows. Keep it real. At no point should it be, it's a theoretical thing. That part I don't get it. Get it and then see whether it's real or not. And third, believe it. You'll help you. That's all. That path works for many others. One more. We have to go to somebody who has not been.
I have already.
You have already asked. Then you have already asked. You have not asked. Yes.
Maharaj, I'm Pranam. I'm Sudipto. Like it seems like maybe after the whole class I'm asking what is number. So my basic question is like why at all this consciousness exists and where from it came and at what stage it is imposed on us. Is it like your answer of Leela, like God is playing with?
Why at all does consciousness exist? It's a really profound question. It's in Advaita Vedanta, the question reduces to why does existence exist? And the question will be, can it not exist? Existence has a necessary existence. It is isness, it is being. It is no way of it not existing. Things can exist or may not exist. You can ask why the universe exists. That also is a good question. But why existence exists, you can't ask. Like that, consciousness. What is non-existence from an Advaitic perspective? Existence is when something appears to consciousness. It exists. Non-existence is when something disappears. When you testify, it is not there. In what? In consciousness. What about consciousness? Can it not exist? To not exist, you must testify in consciousness that it does not exist. Consciousness is there already. The way Advaita understands consciousness, it's not like our, you give an injection, then anesthesia, consciousness gone. Not in that sense. There also, consciousness is the witness of the absence of all, the experience of absence. It's the experience of absence. So that's how Advaita Vedanta understands consciousness. There is no way that consciousness cannot exist. So this question, why does consciousness exist, does not make a sense. Why did it come? That it is before why. That's the question she asked. Causality. Before why. Consciousness is prior to causality. It's prior to cause, prior to effect. Prior to cause and effect. Cause and effect are appearances in consciousness. Where is consciousness? You cannot ask. Rather, where is in consciousness? Space is in consciousness. In space, where is consciousness located? Not a correct question. It's like asking, where in the movie, the screen, you are talking about all the time, screen, you are saying, where in the movie is the screen? No, movie is in the screen. Movie is an appearance on the screen. When do we have consciousness? Is it that we have in waking and dreaming and deep sleep we don't have consciousness? No. Even when, time is an appearance in consciousness. Before, during and after, consciousness is there. That's the claim. And the claim is, all this is actually should be obvious. Where is space experienced? In consciousness. Where is causality experienced? In consciousness. Where is time experienced? In consciousness. These are matters of very deep metaphysics, and the huge arguments can be done, and they have been done also. There is a book, Why Does the Universe Exist? Jim Holt, he's a science writer in New York. Why does the universe? Very nice book. It takes you on a tour of the latest theories about this question. Why is there anything at all? Why does the universe exist? Why do we exist? What is existence? This question. And he's a science writer, so he goes to physicists, Nobel laureates, cutting edge physics work. He goes to mathematicians, he goes to philosophers, he goes to theologians. Why is there something rather than nothing? There's a chapter, It from Bit. It means it, matter. Bit, information. So I said to David Chalmers, and we had a discussion, this is a good topic for a talk, Vedanta talk. It from bit means matter actually has come from information. That is the proposal. But information or mind has come from consciousness. So it from bit from chit. And I gave a talk. It from bit from chit. Chit means consciousness. Non-existence is also what does it mean to be non-existent? Is non-existence dependent on existence? You won't believe it how the ancient, not even Vedanta, the ancient Indian logicians, they spent centuries thinking about nothing. Very difficult, nothing. I attended this course on nothing. Abhava, absence, nothing. This was in Calcutta in the Asiatic Society. And there was a Pandit, V.N. Jha. He was teaching us Navya Nyaya, the Neo school of Indian logic. Of course, in India, Neo school also is 1,000 years old. So Navya Nyaya, the school of neologic in India. And one of the topics they discuss is nothing. Did you know there are 4 kinds of nothing? Yes. Nothing prior to existence, that's one kind. Nothing after destruction, that's another kind. Just nothing, that's another kind. And nothing which is, so for example, there is the absence of cowness in the horse and the absence of horseness in the cow, which is a fancy way of saying horse and cow are different. That's another kind of nothing. Atyanta bhava, dhamsa bhava, praga bhava, anyonya bhava. 4 kinds of nothing. And we had a 15-day course on nothing. 5 hours a day on nothing. Very subtle discussion. Texts spanning 800 to 900 years of discussion on nothing. And I remember the scholar, the Pandit would come, Sanskrit Pandit would come, and we were an eclectic group. I was the only monk, but there were philosophy students, there were computer scientists, people from different disciplines who were interested in this ancient Indian logic. And the Sanskrit Pandit would come and write painstakingly in Sanskrit on the blackboard. In those days, blackboard, no projector or anything. That there is no pot on the table. Bhutale ghato nasti. There is no pot on. That is an example. The absence of the pot on the table. And that was the subject of discussion for 15 days, 5 hours a day. Every day he would come and write, there is no pot on the table in Sanskrit. I remember the caretaker of the hall. He, maybe because I was a monk, he approached me. He said, Maharaj, in the street market outside, pot is available. Like I can. Do you want one? He feels hurt. He feels it's a criticism of him. He's responsible for the hall, the projector and the microphone. And every day these guys are saying there is no pot. He took it personally. He said, if you want, I can get a pot. Just stop cribbing. All right, last question. We're running out of time. Yes, please. Can you pass the microphone down? Tell us your name and ask the question.
I'm Daniel, and thank you.
Yeah, it's working.
So thank you very much for the talks, and I'm Daniel, and it's a question, or also like maybe a request for clarification. I'm also linking it with what we heard on Thursday, the Meister Eckhart story. And after that, and also hearing the questions that we had today, I had the reflection that most of the times when we listen to Vedanta talks, we are basically told that our main problem is the ignorance of our own identity.
Yeah.
And if we knew we are the limitless consciousness, everything would be fine. And my confusion was that it seems that we also don't have a clear idea what actually the consciousness is.
Yes.
And because that dwar, no? So, or tattvamasi. So if I knew what the God is, no? Like Meister Eckhart was trying to explain, then I would know what I am.
Yes.
So there is a little bit like a chicken neck problem. I don't know if it's a problem at all, but
No, it is a problem. But thankfully, it's an initial problem, and the answer is not so difficult. First of all, the thing is, we don't pay attention to consciousness because it's always there. We pay attention to the world. We pay attention to people. We pay attention to our bodies. We pay attention to our minds, our thoughts, our feelings. We pay attention, a lot of attention to our feelings. But to consciousness, awareness, we don't pay attention. Not much, unless it's a philosophy discussion or consciousness studies or something like that. We don't pay attention to consciousness as such. My Buddhism teacher, Professor J. Garfield, he said, fish are the wrong people to ask about water. Because they are always immersed in water, they don't pay attention to water. So, but it's a problem easily cured. So, moment you say that you are aware, I am aware, are you not aware, are you not conscious? Almost all of us will say, yeah, I am conscious, I am aware. That's obvious. We all have a sense of what the word consciousness or awareness means. We don't have a precise definition of it. We don't have clarity about it. But we have a sense. All of us have a sense. It's like St. Augustine said, time. He says, time, if you do not ask me what time is, I know. Not what is the time, what is the meaning of time. He says, I know what is time. But if you ask me, I know not. If you ask me to define it, I can't define it. But in general, if you ask me what is consciousness, I know what is consciousness. The reason why it's so difficult is definition is always of a complex thing in terms of more fundamental things. But that immediately means how do you define the most fundamental thing? You can't. It might be something so simple we know, but we can't define it. Matter, energy, time, space, life, mind, getting more and more near, more and more fundamental, consciousness. So we are aware. Now clarity is attained about what is consciousness through a process of elimination, through that process of neti, not this, not this. What we did in the second session today, it was an exploration of consciousness, coming, circling inwards, coming to a more and more clear understanding. Can you get an absolutely clear understanding of consciousness? No, you cannot. But in the process, what Advaita is doing is trying to suddenly come to the realization, I am it. That's all that is necessary. And then you can see the glories of that consciousness. Sakshi, the witness, Turiya, Nirvikara, Nirantara, Aparoksha, Swaprakash, all these are the glories of consciousness. Ananta, limitless, non-dual. You will come to see that. So, the point there is, we know consciousness. We all are aware. A process of clarification is necessary.
Can I say it's like taste of water? I cannot explain.
I cannot explain. But then we must get more clarity about it. Then you will see slowly things like my consciousness. For practical purposes we can speak, but genuinely we will know that it's not my consciousness, I am consciousness. Consciousness within me. No, I am not within me. I am consciousness. We will not speak like that. That it's very difficult to speak like that. It makes no sense to. Our language is not meant to deal with I am consciousness. Our language is designed around I am the body mind, I am the person. So don't speak like that also. That's very odd. In fact, the teachers tell us don't speak in a weird way. Be normal. You're behaving like a person, continue to speak like a person. Somebody wrote to me, I, the limitless consciousness which you are. No, he wrote to me, which you are, the same limitless consciousness, I, in this body and mind, I salute you. In this body and mind which has the label Mishra, I salute you. So just say, I am offering salutation. I, Mishra, I am offering salutations. Not the limitless consciousness in this body, mind, personality called Mishra. Don't speak like that. So this is a process of clarification. Okay? So we should, yes. Yes.
Somebody who was carrying mic, he also has a question.
Oh, okay.
My question is about moksha, not about Jivan Mukti, but about Vidya Mukti. So when
the Jivan Mukta, when he dies, when the body dies,
When the body dies.
when the
yes.
body dies, but the Jivan Mukta gives up all the bodies, also the subtle body, and remains as consciousness.
Yes.
Now your equation, consciousness plus object is experience. If there is no object, then there is also no more experience. Is that then not basically the same as what materialists believe what will happen after death, that there is nothingness, no experience, absence?
Yeah, sure,
Or is
in
it-
one way.
yeah.
But it's also limitlessness. And it is also all experience, because you are one limitless consciousness. So everybody who's having experiences is also you, in that sense. Think about Nirguna Brahman right now. Does it have any experience as such? No. And does it, and all these experiences which we are having, they are also that same, because of the same Nirguna Brahman. So it sounds very paradoxical, but just imagine you attain a limit, you see yourself as limitless existence consciousness place. It's not nothing. It's not the materialist nihilism. It's not, materialists will not say that it's a state of no experience. It's just a state of nothingness. It's just what you wear is a combination of various materials and it falls apart, that's it. Gone, death. But this is not like that.
But do they continue to experience after death?
See, after death and before death also, you are that Nirguna Brahman. Right now, ask yourself, does Nirguna Brahman experience anything? Right now. You'll have to say yes and no. Does the screen take part in the movie? No. But do the movies play on the screen? Yes.
Isn't it in the mind, the experience belong, because I'm
Yes, but you know why you're doing this. We'll talk about it tomorrow. You know why you're doing this? Because this process of elimination has still left behind in the mind a seed of individuality. So my individuality is gone, I am gone. No, this individuality has been left behind long ago. You are the ground of all individuals. You become the ground of all individuals, and you are no individual yourself. And Vivekananda said, you are, for the first time, you are an individual now. Now that you are everything.
And therefore I said that if Ramakrishna left the body, don't worry, be happy, I will be always here, because he will experience through us.
Yes,
Through
that is also
us,
true. Yeah.
Through everybody.
Yeah.
But that suggests that every Jivan Mukta, or everybody who gains Vidya Mukta experiences the entire universe at once. Or
Again, notice, you say every Jivan Mukta. There's no such thing as an every Jivan Mukta. Every Jivan Mukta is the universe. Every Jivan Mukta is Nirguna Brahman. There's no every left there anymore.
So is there experience for the? There is no more experience left, or
Right now, we can go into this later, but right now, even now, is there experience? You'll say, of course. I can also show you there is no experience. There is only Nirguna Brahman. The moment you realize what Nirguna Brahman is, you'll have to say there is no experience right now, while experiencing everything. This is a wooden table. Okay, suppose it's a wooden table. But I touch it and I say touch wood. I don't say touch table. While being a table, I can show you there is no table here. It's only wood. Where is the table here? Because the whole thing is table, but the whole thing is wood. Is the top of this table? Is the bottom a table? Is the side a table? It's all wood. Wherever you touch, it's wood. Take the wood away, will there be a table left? No. And yet you cannot say there is no table. So the relationship between experience and Nirguna Brahman, pure consciousness, is paradoxical that way. So it is the ground of all experience, but in itself it's not an experiencer having experiences. It makes all experiences possible. And that will continue. That's there right. Just imagine this way. What is there right now will always be there. What is truly there right now, Nirguna Brahman is truly there. That will always be there. A delusion will be wiped out. That individual being who thought, I have to find liberation, that is gone. Forever. All right.